Well, hello there. Okay, quick one. The betting white paper. This will probably only concern those that obviously gamble that bet, and mainly those that bet on horse racing, because it was the horse racing community that were most concerned about the publication of this white paper that came from government probably a week ago now, maybe 10 days ago. It's been in the offing for about 3 or 4 years. It was always going to happen, but it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I've just got a couple of quick thoughts on it. I've not read the full conclusions, but I've got an idea on a few of the things on there. And just a couple of very, very quick thoughts. And I mean, like, this will be very quick because it's just a couple of things that weren't in there that interest me more than anything else. The racing community were really worried about it coming out because it was mentioning things like affordability checks. It was mentioning how much you could gamble and couldn't gamble, how much you could lose, and how much the bookmakers thought you could lose through the government's different hoops that they were putting up that the betting companies had to put us through. And anyway, it's come out and they've stated what the betting companies must do and how it's going to go going forward. But the biggest concern I had with this betting white paper wasn't so much the fact that it was coming out on the affordability checks. And by the way, I don't agree with virtually anything to do with affordability checks. And when I say affordability checks, when it concerns me or you or anybody else watching this, having to hand documentation in to show what you've got in your bank, how much you may get paid a week, where your money may come from, if you're retired, what pensions you may have and whatever else, to show whether or not you can afford to gamble what you're actually gambling. I don't agree with any of that. I do know there's been people throughout this country and probably other countries as well that have got extremely depressed with what they've lost at gambling. There's many that have got more than depressed and actually killed themselves through it. I sympathise with all of those people 100%. I've got nothing but sympathy. But what I don't agree with is that betting companies, even if they've been told it by government, should be allowed to look with fine-tooth combs into your finances. I don't agree with that at all. What I will say is this: I will never, ever, ever send bank statements of mine to any betting company throughout the UK. If any of the owners of these betting companies were happy to send them theirs to me on return, they don't have to send them first, they can have mine first and then send theirs second, I would gladly do it. No problem at all, I would gladly do it. But I know for a fact that none of those people would share their earnings with me, so why should I with them? I know they might say, yeah, well, they're not betting, I'm betting and it's a requisite. I don't care. If they show me theirs, I'll show them mine. But until then, it ain't going to happen. I just do not agree with it at all, and I think it's wrong. Going back to those people that have been very depressed with losses and ultimately killed themselves, what I will say about betting companies is this: they're over the moon to take your money, over the moon. They've let many, many people get so far in debt, it's unbelievable, and they've done things to themselves. They didn't have to let things get that far. I know of instances, I know of somebody that's, appealed to a betting company or two for monies that he has lost, where he's lost absolutely thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, money that he can't afford to lose, money that's put him into lots of debt, money that's made him very, very, very depressed. They're not interested at all. They say, well, we did look into this person and this person said they could afford it, or we did look into this person and he gave us a pay slip to say what he was earning and thought it would be okay. Look, this person I know has won £1,000 or £2,000 in a day on 2 or 3 occasions or more. But that's £1,000 or £2,000 that he or she has won within a day or a day and a half. It's all been given back and more. I know this person some days was betting 20, 25, 30 times a day. Let me tell you now, you don't have to be Einstein to know that if you've got a gambler betting 20, 25, 30 times a day, he's a problem gambler. You don't need to be Einstein to know that if you pay someone out £1,000 or £2,000 and it never draws it out and he's lost that same day or within a day and a half plus more, you've got a problem gambler. But these companies were happy to still facilitate this problem gambler. But what they wouldn't have done was, if this problem gambler was a good gambler winning lots and lots and lots of money, they wouldn't have let him carry on. They would either limit what he could win because they don't want to lose money, or they would close his account. I've read on many, many, many occasions where companies will take your money, let you bet. If you win early on, don't have to be big, but if you win early on, they then won't pay you out until they've had more documentation about you and you've proved that you can afford to gamble what you've originally gambled. They should be doing that before you win, not when you win and then check in. Because for all they're doing that with people that are winning and then checking, there'll be lots of people that have come on board that have gone to them and lost. They're not checking them. They're not checking them because they don't mind, because the gambling company's won. They don't need to know whether you can afford it. No, they just take your money. But when you're looking at taking some of theirs, they want to do more checks. I've heard of people, gambling sites, where they've given you free bets. You're allowed to win on free bets. But if you've won 3 or 4 times or 4 or 5 times with those free bets and you've won very, very quickly and racked up a few quid, again, what they're saying is you can't have your money, even though we give. So you're not losing your own money. You're gambling with free money, their money. So it doesn't matter what you can or can't afford. You're gambling with their money. But if you've won 4 or 5 times with their money and it comes up to a few quid, they think you know more than you should know, and they're unhappy to pay it out. So again, they want you to jump through loops or hoops to get that money. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. So for me, all the betting sites are now doing is taking our money. When we're looking at winning, they don't want to know, they don't want to pay out. But the biggest thing that worried me on the lead up to the white paper, and this is it, it's one of 2 things. Firstly, we had the racing channels like ITV Racing, Racing UK, Sky Sports Racing, asking us to write in our millions or thousands to our various MPs. So when it all went through Parliament, the restrictions and so on and so forth were eased. And they wanted us to do that because they said horse racing in general could lose millions because there's going to be so many restrictions that so many people will stop betting, like me, which means there'll be less turnover, which means less goes back into racing, because racing is funded from betting sites and on turnovers, or profit should I say. And that's all well and good. The betting companies were pushing for this as well. That's what they wanted, because they wanted us to shout up on their behalf to make the white paper less forceful towards us, to ease the white paper, so more of us carried on gambling when it came out and we had less hoops to jump through, because the betting companies wanted more of us still to be betting with them after the white paper come out, because the more we bet with them, gamblers generally lose. There's a very, very, very small percentage that win or win with regularity. So the more of us that stick with the betting companies, the more they turn over. Yes, profit-wise, they have to give some of it back to racing, but that still means they're making more profit. If we bail out in our absolute thousands, because the white paper is so harsh on us, and we bail out in our thousands, yes, horse racing gets less, but so do the betting companies. So we're appealing on behalf of the betting companies to our MPs. We're doing the betting companies' work for them. We're all appealing. Yet, as I say, when we win off them, they limit what they pay us or close our accounts. But again, when we're losing, they're happy for us to lose and happy to take our money, and they don't do many checks. It's only when we're losing now going forward absolutely plenty, and when we're losing to the volume of the story I mentioned earlier, the person who is getting 1 or 2 grand and betting it straight away and betting 20, 25, 30 times a day, I think with those people going forward, they will do more checks. But that doesn't excuse all they've done in the past where they've not done the checks. And it doesn't excuse the fact that if we're winning, they close our accounts. That is wrong. It should never happen. And it's happened for a few years now, and it's going to keep happening. You've got people with massive amounts of accounts they're opening in other people's names because they can't get paid out or they can't get enough money on. And okay, that's against the law and that's wrong. And I get that, but you've got some of these professional gamblers, and they're saying they're doing it, but they don't tell us how many. They're approaching Facebook groups and Twitter groups and colleges, and they're getting 100 and 200 and 300 people a time betting for them. You know, and yeah, that's wrong. But at the end of the day, I can half understand it. You know, what we needed to have had in this white paper, this is my second thing, this is what we needed to have in there. I believe it's Australia. and I may be wrong, so I should come here informed, and I'm not. But I'm sure in Australia, anybody can have a bet and win a maximum of £1,000, or at least win £1,000, I think. On multiple legs where you can win more, you can still win more. But I think they've got to lay you a bet, give you a bet where you can win up to £1,000, I think, or dollars or whatever it may be. They should have something like that over here. That should be brought in over here. Were it to be, it would be a much, much fairer playing field. Now, they're never going to do that because it doesn't suit them. But that's how things should be. These professional gamblers, okay, they might still look at, they know more than us, they're clever people, some of them. The study that goes into it is immense. And they can win a fortunes under that. They get 100 people winning £1,000 at a time for them. They'd be flying. But I've got in my head ways and means that gambling companies could get over that, but that doesn't matter now. That's a longer story, and that's not for now. But I would suggest if I'm a gambler and I'm a professional gambler and I'm used to winning lots of money, if I know I could win £1,000 guaranteed off a betting company, I just open an account with 14 betting companies and I'm going to win £14,000 at a time. So the betting companies aren't suffering massively, they're only losing £1,000 to me, whereas at the moment they might be losing a lot more because loads of people are putting money on for me, but that's the way it should be. They should allow us X amount to win as a minimum. They should allow that. And until that happens, gambling's never going to be fair. Anyway, the last thing I will say on the subject is I believe a lot of people over the last year or two have gone onto black market sites. Now, I've got an account with nearly every company out there, or many companies. I've been pushed with some for affordability checks, not others. The ones that want affordability checks I won't bet with anymore. The ones that haven't yet asked me, I'm still betting with. And I'm fine with them, but I know they're going to come in off all of them in time. I believe there's some black company betting, or lots of black company betting sites, and lots of people are using them. I know you're not supposed to because they're not regulated, but they're out there. I read all things about them in the media, in the press, in the Racing Post. But because places like the Racing Post are run by the betting companies, they can't put what they are. So I will ask people on here, people that may watch this, if you are using any of these black market betting sites, or if you know anybody that is, and the sites where you can get a bet on most sports, but they actually, up to now, as far as you know, are paying people out, and that's the big thing, because we're told with these black market sites, you'll never get paid out. Well, that's all well and good, but they're going to say that because they don't want us moving to them from the regulated sites. But as I've just said earlier, lots of the regulated sites aren't paying out, or they're making us jump through hoops to get paid out. Does anybody know of any black market betting sites that are good, that take bets on most sports, where you do get paid out and you don't have to jump through all these hoops? I'd love to know any, because there will probably be betting sites I'm going to end up turning to. I don't want to. I want to bet with your 365s and your Skies and your Boyle Sports and those kind of betting sites. But at the end of the day, if it gets so they all need information, then I'm not going to be betting with them further down the line. So black market is the way for me, but I just do not know where to go. So anybody that knows where to go, comments down below, please. Thank you very much.